an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Spoil Me, covering Red Dwarf, Season 1, Episodes 2 and 3, Future Echoes, and Balance of Power. In these episodes, I love how serious these titles sound. They really sound like something's happening here. There is nothing happening here. It is just so petty and hilarious.
It's just nonsense. It's 30 minutes
just nonsense.
Of non-stop nonsense. It is remarkable.
Welcome to Spoil Me. Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Natasha.
I'm RoShawn.
First of all, thank you very much to Anonymous for commissioning this episode.
Okay.
Anonymous had originally asked us to do Gattaca, but we both had seen it, and they got back to me, and they were like, I was listening to, I think, a Dresden Files where you and I mentioned that you wanted to go watch more of Red Dwarf, and they were like, I will be down to commission more of that if you want to replace that commission with 2 episodes of Red Dwarf. And I was like, yes, sir.
Done and
absolutely.
Done. Because honestly, Gattaca is like stylishly appealing. Mm-hmm. When you watch it, like it's very sleek and it's filled with beautiful people. But it's a dystopian future where we're all like in a caste system that we have to cheat to try to escape from, and we just did Westworld, which had a very similar theme, and like neither of us was really like feeling like going into that. Movie isn't that good to, you know what I mean?
She said it, not me. Anonymous.
Listen, guys,
I honestly can't speak to how good the movie is because I don't remember very much of it, but I trust your judgment on that.
I remember a surprising amount for someone who hasn't seen it in probably 10 or 15 years. But yeah, this is so much
The main
better.
thing that I took away was that Ethan Hawke is shorter than Jude Law.
Yeah.
So they had to do something incredibly painful to make him the same height.
I remember, I forget Jude Law's character, but I think it might be Jerome or something. But there's the line.
That sounds right.
Jerome the metronome, because we're not doing that movie, so there's no need to get into all that.
So, okay, Red Dwarf. I just straight up forgot how, bonkers this is. I can't get over how much this show basically was like, well, we want to do really weird, esoteric shit, but in a basically The Office setting. Except we don't want too many actors involved.
Yeah.
How do we do that? And it feels like they built the space station concept around the idea of just
what they wanted.
A 2-person improv office comedy. Yeah.
Right. And that it was so long ago too. It's I posted on my Facebook when I was watching over the weekend that I can't believe somebody is paying me to watch this. Because I would just watch it for free for Cat. And I had a lot of people commenting oh my God, that show's a cult classic. I haven't watched that in years. It's such a great show. And then a couple people were like, how are you getting paid to watch this? Asking for a friend. That friend is me. And I'm like, well, go get a friend that has a podcast and then just let her invite you on it. That's what I did.
Yeah, so thank you to Anonymous for including RoShawn in this one.
Yeah. A fun note that I didn't know. A dear friend of mine, a woman that I love so much, named Laura Jane. When I posted about this, she had a son named Bexley. And this is where they got the name from. Remember when Lister had Jim Bexley? She named her. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I thought that was really sweet. Yeah.
Bexley's a pretty good name.
Yeah, it's an awesome name. I like it.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I like that it's got like a weirdly British feel to it because it's so similar to like Wesley, but it feels future-y in its way.
Yeah.
Throw an X in there and pretty much it's the future, obviously.
I love that it's, for Lister, it's his favorite, like, football star, but it's like future football, so it's like zero gravity something. Yeah.
It's basically Quidditch. I mean, it's Quidditch. So, to start things off, and for those who are listening, I am sharing I'm playing the episode in a different tab and screen sharing because there are so many visual jokes in this episode that there are going to be things that I want to... RoShawn can't log into her Amazon Prime on her computer right now.
It's a whole thing.
And I want to be able to commiserate with her on a couple of moments, so I decided to share it here. So
and we appreciate
if you are hanging out with us, you can see it. So, I am Holly, the ship's computer with an IQ of 6,000, the same IQ as 6,000 PE teachers.
Like unnecessary drag, right?
Damn!
Like PE teachers are just minding their business trying to watch a TV show and they just get called out for no reason.
You know what I loved so much about this, too? Is that, is it Lister? Wait, what's the name of the guy?
Rimmer,
thank you.
Oh, do we need to do like a if you're listening to this episode, you guys get what the show is, or do we need to do that?
No.
Okay.
It's their responsibility to go back and find the other episode that we covered. You guys figure it out. It's fine. Not doing a bunch of footnotes here. I've been listening to this series that Owen recommended to me. It's a British author named P.G. Wodehouse who does this comedic series from like 1910, 1920, the Jeeves series. And basically it's all this like rich, kind of airheaded but good-hearted young man who has a very intelligent butler. And he gets into all these weird scrapes and he has to go to the butler to figure out how to get out of them. And it's always very like screwball comedy.
This is where Ash Jeeves came from?
It may be. It may be, actually, now that you say that. But he will start a novel with, I never know when telling a story exactly how much I should bung in from a previous story. Because if you have people who are just joining you for this story, and you mention so-and-so, and you mention that, oh, that time on that ship when he fell off the dock, everybody's like, wait, back up, good sir, and please explain to me about the falling off of the dock. But if you have a bunch of old hats who know very well such and such, and they even remember such and such, they're like, yes, please, get on with the story. We don't give a damn about the dock. And that is what I think of a lot of the time when I cover stuff that I haven't covered in a minute, and I'm like, how much do I bung in about the previous thing? But yeah,
I like use of that word "bung," which is not. I've never heard it used in that context before, so that's new.
There's a lot of good verbiage in that series that I want to bring back. Bally as like a swear. I never even heard of the Bally thing. I really like that. You know. And then, what was the other one? There was something else I'll remember later, but it's kind of like a affectionate like nickname, and it sounds insulting, but as you go through the books, you start to realize that it's a really sweet thing. I think he says she's one of the most solid potatoes ever to be like in London, awful. Like something that sounds really mean, but then he keeps saying it, and you're like, oh, okay, you really do like this person.
What is Lister's swear word? Is it smeckle?
Smedge? Is it smedge? I feel like
he says it all the time.
Yeah.
Like but I can't quite like. I should have watched the subtitles.
We'll see it on the subtitles as we're playing it.
All right.
But because of this opening, and he mentions the PE teachers, it was really funny to me, unintentional, I assume. I realized as I was watching this, Rimmer is just like a couple of PE teachers that I have had. Almost exactly. Like, even the before I was so rudely interrupted. I had a female gym teacher who was ancient. This woman was a shriveled crone with a fucking whistle around her neck that I don't think she could have mustered the breath to blow through. And she would get so angry if somebody like called out. It was middle school. Bitch, you're gonna be interrupted. I don't know what to tell you.
Everyone is 11. Calm down.
Right? And she would say it with this acid, like, before I was so rudely interrupted. And I was just like...
It's such a good analogy to a PE teacher because it is that very specific little bit of power, right? Like in the hierarchy of a school, the PE teacher is generally fairly low on the totem pole, right? But they have that whistle, goddammit, no short shorts. And the 35 minutes that they're in your class, you're gonna fucking,
God,
listen to me. And it does not matter where you went to school. They're all the same.
All the same.
They're all like that. Every PE teacher everywhere.
I had one that I liked who was the only one when I was going through a terrible depressive episode, like the first time that I really experienced depression in my life. And I didn't get what was going on. And he stopped me at one point and said, Diosa, you all right? And he was the only person to, like, notice. And that fucked me up. But he was, like, the one good one out of all of the others that I had that were trash.
Do you remember when you were working at the bank? Do you remember that guy, Tim? He was the trainer. He was the one that would come around, like, on Fridays. Are you wearing red? You know what I'm talking about. You know that's what he was before he came to the bank?
I do know that, because that's perfect. That's exactly correct.
Right?
Yep.
I wish everyone listening would... Oh, smeg, like egg. Thank you, Rosalie.
Thank you, Rosalie. Yeah, I found that out while I was working there, and all of a sudden, like, everything came together for me, and I was like, oh, okay.
It all made sense, right?
Yep.
You're just like... And the fact that he was a very high up person's kids, and that's how he got the whole... Yeah. But anywho...
So...
Right, they just be failing up.
I just like talking visual jokes. When he comes rolling up on this, what do you, it's a tricycle, really? With the high handlebars, like a Hell's Angel? Yes! Like, with the British flag on it.
Because you're trapped alone in space, why not? Right?
I guess. And this is supposed to be the size of a small city. So, like...
You're not going to be walking around.
Yeah, it's like if they had a Segway when they made this show, he would be riding a Segway.
Absolutely, 100%. 100%. I loved the little flag on it, too.
Exactly. Like,
just...
I kind of want I've seen people... riding tricycles like adults lately. It's like a thing now that
right
you know, and honestly it does appeal. It feels ridiculous, and I have the feeling that I would look it in concept and riding down the street I would be like, don't look at me, don't look at me, don't look at me.
It's kind of like a giant big wheel, which I wouldn't be mad at,
Yeah. I like the stability, man.
I was going to say I would do better on that than probably a regular standard issue bike, because it's been like 30 years since I tried to ride a bike, and I don't believe I would stay upright at this point in my life. People are like, oh, it's like riding a bike. Is it? No. I feel like I would immediately tip over to one side with no question.
I got on the stationary bike at the gym this weekend because the weightlifting thing I've been doing adds a cardio element for phase 3. And she recommended, she was like, your joints, it's hard on your joints to go running on the treadmill. If you can do the cycling instead, do that. Let me tell you, when you weigh what I weigh, and all your weight is put on barely the 2 pedals, mostly on a 3x6 bike seat that shoved up between your legs.
I see what you're saying.
Not great, kids. Not great.
It doesn't sound great.
So that's another appealing aspect of the 3-wheeler, is that it's like you are in a seat, like a proper seat. It's recumbent almost, I like that. Anyway, So all he wants to get, first of all, I forgot about how there's a lisp malfunction on the machine.
The replicator has a lisp for some reason. And, like, it should not be as funny as it is. There's no reason why this is as funny as it is. I mean, it's so absurd. You know, like, this show is just 100%. Yeah, I make this joke all the time on a podcast, whenever we're talking about it, is that the commitment to the bit is always going to be what pushes something over and makes it funny. Mm-hmm. And I don't know who was smoking what, you know, behind the scenes, but the fact that a group of people got together and, like, sat in a writing room somewhere, and they were like, you know what we should do? Fuck it, let's give it a lisp. Why not?
And we're gonna just talk about it like it's a malfunction, like,
right?
That'll just happen.
Yeah, we're gonna point it out, you know, to make sure that everybody is aware that this is what's happening with the machine. But we're not going to, like, make a big deal about it. We're gonna be like, yeah. So it has a lisp, and you just fucking have to deal with it.
I really would love if there was a setting for Siri that you could add a lisp, like, because you can make her British, you can make her Australian, like, you can do all kinds of. If they had a lisp, or maybe like a retainer version of her, I would find that so hilarious. Like, I feel that my antipathy to Siri would be lessened if she had an endearing speech impediment of some kind.
And, you know, it's like, I was just sitting here thinking, like, is it wrong to, like, be laughing at a speech impediment? You know, like, I don't want to make people feel bad about the way that they speak. But God damn it, you guys, it's a replicator.
I think that's what it is. It's not the speech impediment that's, like, funny. Because I've met people with lisps, and it just kind of rolls off. Like, I don't even really notice in the moment until I think about it. I'm like, oh, he's kind of a little bit of a lisp.
Yeah.
But it's the machine doing, like, that being, like that doesn't make sense. That's not how that's supposed to work.
And this is, like, the first 30 seconds of the episode, you know? And so listeners trying to get breakfast, which I wanted a bacon sandwich immediately after he tries to order
Let
this.
me tell you. Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, a bacon sandwich would hit the spot.
Yep.
And all he wants is that and coffee.
A black coffee.
Black coffee, right? And bacon with, like, fresh mustard. And it's this series of things that are not what he asked for that keeps coming out of the little tray.
Oh my God. It's first he gets a pair of boots, then he asks for just the coffee, and he gets a bucket.
A fucking empty bucket comes rolling out. He doesn't even catch it. It just rolls out and hits the floor.
I want to know how this dude does not laugh when that bucket comes sliding out of that chute onto the floor in front of him. Like, that makes it extra funny to me, the way that it, like, because he had to reach in to get the boots, but they went the extra mile for that bucket, and they were like, no, shove it out there.
And it just, like, clangs and rolls.
So here comes Rimmer.
Oh my God, he's just like a fucking PE teacher.
He is a hologram, I will remind you. There is no need for him to be exercising. But that's just the kind of motherfucker he is.
Oh my God, he comes rolling up.
He looks like he's in his underwear.
He is in his underwear. Because later on he asked to, you know, put his uniform on. And it just feels like it just, well, maybe it's not. No, that's his underwear.
It is. It's gotta be. I don't know. I feel like it's supposed to be like tennis whites, but they don't have a fly on them, right? Like,
no,
these are, I don't know.
I mean, they're a little long to be like underwear shorts now that you look at them, because they're almost to his knees.
Maybe he's like got those old West undies with the button butt that you the flap.
The flap in the back. So this fucking, he is the worst.
Yeah, he sucks.
He is so awful and unpleasant. And just like, can you imagine being trapped with just that?
Nope. No, thank you. And later on, Lister asks, why out of every fucking body did you bring him to be my companion? And the system tells him because he was the most likely to keep you safe. And also, they had exchanged the most words and, like, knew each other really well.
Right. But all of Lister's words that contributed to this stockpile of conversation was just how much he hates Rimmer.
Yep.
Like, telling him to go fuck himself and get out of here or whatever. And that brings up a really interesting thought. Like, if some sort of alternate or artificial intelligence had to create a companion for you, based on who you talked about the most, we spend a lot of time talking about the people that annoy us. I know I do.
True.
I spend way too much energy and time talking about people who get on my goddamn nerves. So if some intelligence was like, well, what does RoShawn talk about all the time? I would be trapped with the worst fuckers I know.
Oh, God.
And it really makes me think, like, maybe I should spend less time talking about them in case somebody is keeping track.
You bring up some valid points. I mean, I feel like this is part of why I try not to talk about certain people who shall remain nameless but run the country. Because I just don't want that energy of that name floating around in the air around me. Like, I just would rather avoid it.
Listen, not to make this a whole other thing, but real quick, y'all, let me tell you how people are trash. I had a run-in on the interwebs yesterday.
Oh, no.
Somebody posted a screenshot of a tweet of a black woman, speaking about how people beat their children because they were...
Okay.
Serious topic, a serious conversation, that needs to be had. Mm-hmm. But in the screenshot of the tweet, she is, just speaking in like casual AAV, right? She's just like, y'all want to do this and you should be doing that, whatever.
Right.
And this guy comes on a post and it's like, if my kid's grammar was this bad, I'd beat him too. I'm sorry, sir, what now?
Cool.
So I asked, like, where exactly was the grammar bad? And this guy comes and the OP posted a link to how AAV is legitimate. And this guy comments. I read the article. This is very interesting, but it feels like if we allow this, then eventually we'll have to like say that the way Trump speaks is legitimate.
How? What? That's...
He basically slippery slope the way black people talk. Like, if we let this be a thing, then we'll have to say the way Trump speaks is also legitimate.
Trump is one person versus an entire culture. What are you talking about?
And so, we
I
went
don't
back
understand
and forth.
human beings.
And
don't.
it ended with him asking me if I want him to kill himself.
Yes. Answer yes. Thank you. Bye. Appreciate you bringing it up so I didn't have to, actually. That was thoughtful. You anticipated my needs amazingly.
He asked one of the women on the thread, oh, do you think I'm racist? And she was like, I don't know, probably.
Damn right.
But anyway, so negative
God.
energy to people that we don't want to give it to because then it just, it's all around you.
Owen and his grandparents, I played a board game with them yesterday, and there are occasionally times where they have to, like, come at you to, like, take cards from you. And his grandpa was, like, deciding who to take a card from, and he looked at me and went, did you say something mean about me earlier? And I just went, probably. And he was like, all right, give me one of your cards.
Oh, that's fantastic.
He really, like, I appreciate him because he'll ask stuff like that, and when I come back with that, he cracks up. Like, he really enjoys it when I'm kind of a dick. Speaking of, let's look at this this great old lady who brought up Lister with the pipe and the. Is this a? What kind of hat is this that has the flaps on either side of the ears?
Those are like fuck. What do you call those? Lumberjack hats? No.
It does, yeah. It's like that though. I don't know what they're called. She's got tattoos on her back of her hands.
This lady
I wish you could see what they
about
are.
About it.
She's somebody who would definitely be at like the Black Lives Matter protests.
Oh yeah, she'd be
with
fucking
a
people
very
up.
pithy sign.
So, can we talk about this? All right, so this episode is Future Echoes, right? So what's happening in the episode is they are attempting to go into, do they call it warp speed in this?
Light speed, I think.
Light speed,
they just call it, yeah.
Right. So to get to Earth, right? They're trying to, and because of traveling faster than light, it's creating all these weird echoes. But instead of echoes of the past, they're seeing bits of things that are to come. So there's a lot of like being in a scene. There's one great scene a couple clicks later where I think it's Rimmer is talking, but you don't see who he's talking to, and then later you're like, oh, that's what happened. The same thing happens with Cat too, when he breaks the tooth. So the episode kind of jumps around, but so we go to Cat, and he is this when he's looking at the fish tank?
No, this is when he's looking at the dog picture, and he wants to know what the fuck this is,
God.
and it better not be on the ship because he's gonna chase it.
And listeners like they're 8 feet tall, 18 feet tall, or whatever the fuck he said.
This is your father? No wonder you're so ugly. Look at the fucking... What is he wearing? He's got, first of all, these, like, shoulder pads that have to be, like, half a foot thick. They're, like, 6 inches minimum.
This actor
a cravat and a bow tie, I think?
And, like, the cuffs coming out.
I didn't even see the cuffs. Oh, my God, he does.
And it's like this... Is it the jacket? Is it short? Is it like a bolero jacket, or is it a long one?
It's a little bit longer than a bolero, but it's in that.
But it's
very like princey.
It is a lot of his whole steez kind of is.
It is actually,
but
yeah.
But I mean, with the pompadour, and he just sells. And I had his name written down, and it's John Dunn something, the actor.
Don't know.
But
Amazon has X-ray a lot of the time, but not for this show. It must be too old for them to bother.
He is so amazing, because the stuff he's doing with his body is like a lot. Some of it is subtle, some of it is not.
Yes,
right. But like what he is doing in performing this cat as a man, you guys. When I watched on Saturday, when I watched on the weekend, I had a little brownie. Y'all. Watching this shit. I was on the couch. I had tears in my eyes. I could not stop laughing. When he starts talking about this dog and what he would do if it was on the ship.
It's so like, and you know what I'm realizing now? Looking at him as he stands up and he turns, and you see the pompadour, but it's also like pulled into a bit of a ponytail at the nape of his neck. He's got like, if the 80s met the Revolutionary War.
Oh my God.
He's got like a Founding Fathers at a coked up nightclub thing happening. He would be really good in Hamilton, actually. This outfit.
He's really before his time. But the thing he does with his body when he's talking shit about what he would do if a dog was here, but then he also like peeks out the corner real quick before he like dips out.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
right? You see him going.
God!
You have cats. I have cats. It is like so what I would imagine, because I know my cats. If they could, they would talk hella shit.
Oh my God!
About everything, and everybody. But these bitches are scared of the vacuum cleaner. So I need right? Like, it's just, it's so good. It's so good. Oh, get out of town.
Rosalie says, he's a great physical actor. If you remember Labyrinth, he puppeted one of the fiery full body suits.
I didn't know that.
I don't know. I've only seen Labyrinth one time, and I do not remember what that is, but it sounds cool.
I do. He's so good. He's so gifted in this. So Cat goes and Lister goes and checks on his fish, which I keep forgetting are not like real fish for some reason.
Yeah, these are mechanical fish meant to look like real fish. And it is a very good little joke where he's just out here like repairing it and tossing it back into the water. And honestly, it's such a stupid thing. But I love the fact that the cat comes over and is just like, I'm going to eat you. I'm going to eat you. I'm going to eat you. I'm not going to eat him. What? Yeah, that feels right also.
Also, Rimmer, when he's getting dressed after we first see him at the replicator, he goes and gets Holly to put him in his uniform, and he wants a crew cut. You know, something real short and tight, and says he's in charge. And he gets instead this huge, like, B-52's bouffant situation. And
Beehive.
Right? And he doesn't, I don't even remember why, but for some reason he never checks to see what's going on with his hair. He's so self-assured and confident that Holly would have done exactly what he said to do. It doesn't occur to him to check. So he's walking around for a good part of this episode with this fucking whole hairdo.
The cat staring at him. I like how the cat's not even, like, disliking it. He's just kind of like, that's an interesting look. I don't know.
Yeah, like, he's, like, low-key. He's kind of into it. He's like, you know, maybe I'll try it later. I
love that H on his forehead.
Listen. Do we need that? We know.
It's so unnecessary, and that's what makes it so funny.
Like, are we going to forget?
I would love it if, like, we saw a Marvel movie and they just had a V on their head for villain.
Oh my god!
The whole time,
all the
just
Avengers
in case
have like giant E's on their head.
Yep, just so you know.
Oh my god! He's talking about this haircut. This is a haircut for a man of action. He does this weird, like, you know, what do you call that? Salute. But it's like all flourish before he gets to his head.
It's a lot of flourish. I love Holly's, like, mild amusement. He's not smiling. But when he gets called up, you can see the twinkle in his eye.
Right.
He's just like, oh, I'm so sorry. Terrible mistake. I didn't mean to.
I didn't know. It got away from me. Oh, my goodness.
All right, let's jump ahead here to... they're talking about what the deal is with Rimmer being dead and how that affects things. Because evidently this hologram, John, is not uncommon. And Lister's sort of presenting the idea that you can, like, still be in the world as a hologram. Like, this is something that is... And he even tries to say... Oh, I don't know, maybe back at Earth they can cure you.
Right.
And Rimmer's like, oh, yes, I'm sure they found a cure for death. Right as soon as we left, I'm sure that was right what they were doing. And this leads to later on when it appears that Lister dies a horrible, terrible death, why Rimmer does not have a ton of sympathy for him, because Lister did not have a lot of sympathy for him being dead and being a little bit bummed out about that.
Because Lister's just like you're dead, but you're also here. So, you know, no one else got to be here. You're still here, so look on the bright side.
Yep.
So, what does he say? Death isn't a handicap?
Not that death isn't the handicap it used to be in the olden days. It doesn't hold back your career like it used to.
What a fucking great line, but also, are you kidding me right now? Because,
oh my god, I forgot about them talking about Channel 27.
Oh, that's right. Are we here? Let me
Yeah.
lean in so I can see this.
Because he asks, like, who would you pick out of an alive person and a dead person for a job? And Lister says whoever has the better qualifications. And then he says, well, have you ever seen a dead person, a hologram, giving the news? And he says they do it on Channel 27, to which Rimmer replies, oh, groovy, funky Channel 27. Which I really want that to be a recurring joke, that they bring up Channel 27 doing particularly weird and maybe like borderline not okay shit throughout the show.
I was watching this and I kept waiting for like some further explanation for what the fuck Lister was talking about, but you don't get it. We just keep going with this. Like, I wanted to know, like, what does he think is a hologram? Was it a hologram? Is he confusing, like, the weather mat with, like, being, like, nothing. We just move on with the show. There's no time to, like, you know, dig into the details here.
Do you remember when they had the hologram of Tupac?
Girl.
What was that, man?
It was showing up all over the place.
There was... I don't remember if it was the 2008 election that they did a hologram with Wolf Blitzer. Do you remember this? Oh my god. It was. They made fun of it mercilessly on The Daily Show because it was just such an unnecessary way to convey the information, was to use a hologram for it. There was no reason. I mean, I'll have to find it and send it to you later, because I'm pretty sure it was Wolf Blitzer.
He was still alive at the time. Why wouldn't they just use the guy?
Oh no, I don't mean Wolf Blitzer was the hologram.
Oh.
I mean Wolf Blitzer got up from his desk and walked down to this big open spot on the floor that had a hologram on it and gestured to, like, the pole representation in the hologram the way that a weatherman would to the thing behind him. And it was just like, you could have just put up a graphic of the pole. There's no need for this. And his whole physical interaction with it, which is incredibly, like, it was one of those moments where it's really clear Wolf Blitzer thinks this is the coolest thing.
Oh, no.
Like, this is an old guy getting a toy to play with. He's got a gadget.
Oh, I'm so sad.
I gotta find it.
I'll look it up when we get done too, yeah, because I don't remember any of that.
I loved, in a way, his enthusiasm for it. But it just was also, like, a little sad, because I was like, they're never doing this again, buddy. They're trying this out, thinking that it's going to be a thing. Nobody's going to take it seriously, and this is never going to happen again, and you're just going to have your heart broken. There's an episode of Community where the dean gets obsessed with this very low-quality virtual reality helmet thing and never wants to leave, because he feels like he has the ultimate power in this game and can create and destroy within the game. But it's like a 95 level graphics. Like, it's just really embarrassingly bad VR that he's, for some reason, totally obsessed with. And they have to, like, stage an intervention to destroy the equipment because he won't leave the office. And I feel like Wolf Blitzer could easily have headed down that road with that.
They had to distract him while they got rid of the hologram material.
You know, yeah. It was probably his idea to do it in the first place, and they were like,
He was so excited.
So, okay, there's so many, like, you and I have been talking for 38 minutes. We are 9 minutes into this episode. So... All
right, let's try to calm the tangents down.
This is an hour and a half long episode because it's like a movie style one, so we've got the time for the tangents.
Oh,
but
okay.
It is amusing. All right, so then where do we... Oh my god, I forgot about what happens with his is it his shaving cream that explodes under his arm? Or is this supposed to be like deodorant?
I thought it was like an antiperspirant spray.
He's got it. What is he doing here? Oh god, this just... He's singing to himself, and then there's just this explosion, and he like winds up sort of scooping it out from underneath his shirt in this like ghastly. Look at it so much. He just puts it on his face. No, I do not like it. And this is when we get the first of the like weird time shit, because he starts to see himself in the mirror doing shaving that does not match what he's actually doing.
Right.
And honestly, I know that this is like one of the lowest rent gags, but I will never cease to be flipped out by the idea of something in the mirror doing a different thing than the person. I hate that shit.
That is always going to be upsetting. Always. It doesn't matter. And it's why it's used so often, because it is just on such a visceral level. We all understand that certain things are supposed to be what they are, right? When you look in the mirror, it's supposed to be a reflection of you and whatever it is you're doing in the moment. And when you vary that, when you don't uphold the contract, that is what's supposed to happen in the mirror, all bets are off. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
Have you seen Lock and Key? The Netflix series?
I have not.
I thought it was pretty good. I've heard that the graphic novel is amazing, but I don't have that to compare it to, so I thought the show was pretty fun. And they have a bit on there with mirrors, and it is the freakiest thing. It really got under my skin.
Yeah.
And there are times where I'll be alone in the bathroom at night going to pee, and I just like can't make myself look at the mirror as I pass by in the dark, because I'm just like, I know it's just me. I know that's all it is, but I don't need to look. I don't need to see.
I don't look in the mirror in the dark. If I'm in the bathroom and I don't turn the light on, I don't even look towards the mirror, because something might be hanging out there. Didn't know I was coming to the bathroom. And then it's my fault to be there, right? So
I just love that idea. Do you mind?
Right? Like, we
as you're trying to pee.
Right? Nope. And me and you have talked about this before. I don't mess around with none of those, like, Bloody Mary 3 times in the mirror. I don't fool with none of that shit.
It's the kind of thing where I'm like, I don't believe it, but also, like, why?
Why
mess with it?
Right?
Yeah. I'm not an idiot.
I have enough. I have enough to be concerned with.
Right?
Why?
My anxiety is already at peak. Like, what am I inviting supernatural shit into that spectrum for?
Exactly.
There was some, like, I'm trying to think of the name of the show. I think it was just called Spooked. And it's a podcast that they tell scary stories, and it's, like, told by the person who experienced it. And some of them are the goofiest things, and some of them are pretty, like, unnerving and interesting. And one of them was this girl who had a mirror in her room when she was a kid, and she would see silhouettes of people moving around. And it was like, she said that at first it was just one person, and it grew, and eventually it looked like there were several people. And eventually she convinced her mother to, like, get rid of the mirror because it was just kind of keeping her up at night.
I'd have took that shit down myself.
Right? Like, I would just throw something over it so that, you know, I mean, Harry Dresden doesn't have mirrors in his house because,
listen,
you know, that's, as he puts it, too many things can use them as windows or even doors. Don't need that. Mirror next to me.
I have like 2 mirrors in my whole house, and that's kind of too much.
Right. I don't know how people live in houses where there's reflection. Like you and I were talking about that Westworld house at the beginning of the season that's just all glass. And you were walking around seeing reflections all over the place. I was at the gym the other day, and it was only me in the gym, but there's mirrors everywhere. And I kept thinking there was somebody in there.
Yeah.
But it was only me. And I just don't know how people live surrounded by glass that you just constantly are like, oh, what? Nope. Hip. Nope. Like, I can't. I'm like a cat when somebody's light is reflecting off their phone or something, and they just start to, you know? So anyway, Holly can't handle the fucking speed of light thing. As he puts it, I thought I could navigate at light speed, but I just can't wrap my head around it. Gordon Bennett, that was a close one. Gordon Bennett? Is that a swear? Look, we're traveling faster than the speed of light. That means by the time we've seen something, we've already passed through it. Even with an IQ of 6,000, it's still brown trousers time.
Brown trousers time.
Dislike.
I laughed way too hard at that. It's not even that funny. But just the turn of the phrase of it was just, like, you know, a lesser person would have just been like, it's time to shit your pants. But,
right?
But brown trousers time.
I hate it.
And this fucking scene you have it paused on right now where it's Lister with like half his face covered in shaving foam.
Mm-hmm.
And it's doing the weird mirror thing. And he's experiencing this moment. Like, you know, wait, like I've done this already. Like, and this was when we first started to get an idea of like what exactly is happening in this episode.
I hate the blood. Honestly, like when he cuts himself.
It's a lot of blood, right?
It's too much blood. I know it's fake. I know. But nevertheless, I was just kind of like, buddy, just wash your face off and finish this later. You need to get a Band-Aid. You need a couple Band-Aids. Like, you may just want to get a wad of paper towel and hold it.
It's your chin, not your jugular. Why is there so much blood?
Maybe in the future they've evolved so that their jugular's in their chin. In a very exposed area. So he calls Rimmer in to be like, do you notice anything weird in the mirror? And Rimmer says, yeah, it's you ugly goit.
For no reason. Like, just so much hostility.
I forgot to mention when Rimmer's jogging at the beginning of the episode, and he comes up to him and he's like, oh, hey, what are you doing, you stupid fat slob? Are you just going to slob around for another 3 hours and then go and eat and take a nap and maybe slob around a little bit more, you fat fucking loser? And it was just like, oh my God.
It's so over the top. And, like, it's first thing in the morning. He hasn't even had coffee. He hasn't been able to get coffee yet. And Rimmer is just like on 110 for no reason. Except that
that's just how he lives.
Apparently that's just who he is and who he was. And he can't be anything other than this. And he is so insufferable. I mean, like, Lister is not necessarily even that much better. But, like, between the two of them,
oh, yeah.
You know, you just want to punch Rimmer in the fucking face, like, 99% of the time. And you think, like, oh, okay, well, I get the joke, whatever. It's not going to be as funny next time. And yet...
I think it's partially, too, the words he uses. He calls him a goit. What is a goit? I'm looking it up. You know what? What's a goit?
Rosalie, if you know, Rosalie knew Smeg, so if you know goit, I mean, just let us know.
Okay. Wiktionary. Britain, Yorkshire, North Lancaster. Popularized. There's two. A small artificial channel carrying water, usually used with respect to channels built to feed mills. Etymology 2. Popularized by the television series Red Dwarf. Possibly a shortening of goiter, i.e. a pain in the neck, or from git.
So really, they just made it up. I love it.
They just made it up.
Nice.
It works.
Nice.
I feel like it just makes sense to hear it.
Right. Goiter.
You're like, I know what that means.
Like pain in the neck from goiter, like, makes sense. But that's really not how language works, you know? Like,
yeah.
I find it hard to believe that we would make an insult or a slang from the word goiter. Like, it's just not a word that's in popular parlance that we would even think to shorten or use. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you say goit, it sounds insulting. has that hard G at the beginning that you want to have, you know, when a curse word or like an insult word. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Fucking great.
That's going to be a thing now.
I think it should be.
So they're trying to figure this out. Oh my god, I forgot that because they're going to Earth, they have to like get onto a smaller ship, I guess. Mm-hmm. Right? Is that what the thing is?
I think that's what they're thinking they have to do, yeah.
And so Cat has to like pack a couple things.
He wants to bring all his suits. Like, first of all, where all these suits come from? Like it's okay. We all have decided that we understand and we accept where Cat comes from, which is this stray cat that was on the ship, and over like the millennia that they've been out there floating, this is what he's evolved into. That is fine. I can accept that. Who made all these fucking suits?
You raise a good question. I like to think that they were in various people's closets on the ship, and he collected them. And maybe made some small alterations. Okay. But,
I feel like the people on the ship are not this well dressed.
You don't know. It's the size of a city.
That's true.
People need fancy outfits.
That's true. I only met a handful
going out
of
on
them
the
in
town.
Pilot. You're right.
At one point, even though there's nobody there but them, Lister says to Rimmer, "It's Saturday night. I want to boogie down." And I was just like, alone?
Listen.
Or worse, with Lister? I mean, with Rimmer? Like, that's the saddest thing I ever heard. Like, I'm just picturing him alone in a room with a disco ball circling.
Hasn't the pandemic made all of us Lister, though?
Oh,
Don't
God.
we all want to boogie down on Saturday night? We're just
God, I didn't even think about how relevant that aspect of this all is.
And we're all trapped with our various Rimmers and our cats. And we just want to boogie down on a Saturday night.
Oh, God.
Even if we're alone.
I was thinking about that the other day, like, those who are stuck in, you know, what happened?
Nothing, my cigarette won't stay lit. Sorry, we keep talking and I'm not smoking.
You just said fucking such a heartfelt. I thought you just remembered that you forgot to pay your electric bill or something. But people who are stuck quarantining with roommates. How much worse that must be. Being alone has its downsides for sure. Right. But being stuck with a roommate that you're not even necessarily friends with, you just live together because that's what you need to do, I feel like is a nightmare. Being stuck around them all day.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about it.
Because that's basically this situation now that you say that.
Yeah. I mean, my few times having roommates, I was friendly with them, you know, where we were friends before we moved in. Often not afterwards. Because being a roommate will fuck up a friendship. Kids out there, FYI. But yeah, this is all of us that are like stuck at home or whatever, and we're just, you know, floating through space for this undetermined amount of time. Not sure when we'll ever get back to like home or normal or whatever, you know. And, you know, God love you if you're stuck with a Rimmer, you know. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Ugh. That ends in homicide. There has to be an uptick in, like, homicides because of the pandemic, right? Of just people just being like, I can't handle being around you. I'm going to kill you.
I wonder if, like I've been, like, real, and deservedly so, real shitty to these people that can't fucking quarantine and won't social distance and won't wear a mask, right? But part of me wonders how many of these people that cannot sit their ass still for 5 minutes are like roommates with people they just can't take another day with,
right?
You know? Like, and they're just willing to risk it all. Just
Maybe they just go out and commit crimes to get put in a cell somewhere where they're alone.
Like anything is better than what they have going on.
Exactly. So yeah, Cat does not want to get rid of any of his stuff. He says that he would rather stay than only have 2 suits. If I cut my leg off and leave it behind, can I take 3 suits? I feel for him though. I get that.
I was gonna say, I understand that motivation.
I mean, if that's all you've had, this is all this cat knows. And they're asking him to give it all up.
And he also knows how good he looks in those fucking suits. What? What are you talking about?
How about that scene where he looks at himself in the mirror and says he looks nice and puts the mirror away and walks 3 more feet and then stops and says, let's see how I look now? That might have been my favorite joke out of both these episodes. Was that total sincerity of, all right, let's see how I look now.
It's so good.
Honestly, as somebody who tries to take selfies that look good a lot and they don't, I really sympathized with that. Let me see how I look now. I get it.
He's hurtling towards Earth, which Cat doesn't give a fuck about Earth. What is it? What's the Earth?
Right.
Right? But we're going to all go in stasis and get to this place that means nothing to him. And then they're asking him to sacrifice all his suits for this? Why would he care? I agree with him. I feel like it was a really big ask on their part.
I wonder what everybody's clothes would be like on Earth. Would Cat stand out in a good way, stand out in a bad way, or fit right in?
Listen.
Because he has a bit of that, future feel.
He gets to Earth, he's the fucking superstar immediately.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those teeth. I like those teeth. That works for me.
So where are we now?
This is when when Rimmer has the conversation with a Lister who isn't actually there.
Right.
And Lister is just watching it, trying to figure out what happened, and then tells him, and then he tries to stop the cat from eating the
fish.
The fish.
He's trying to stop the tooth breaking.
Right.
And ends up breaking a tooth anyway.
Yes, indeed. He's got the little sieve. Look at him with that. Oh my God. It's not even a net. It's not even a net that you would use for fish. It's a kitchen sieve for rinsing rice before you cook rice. I love that. What a weird detail.
Oh. And so Holly is telling us here. Oh, I can't see now because we're fast forwarded. I missed it. But
oh no, sorry.
No, it's okay. What is he saying here?
Watch my lips. What is happening? They're asking him about the whole thing. You're seeing future echoes. Didn't I explain this to you? And River asks, we'll explain it. And he says, how simple do you want it? And Rimmer says, so Lister can understand it. And Holly says, oh dear. Which really reminded me of Bob with Harry Dresden.
Well, it's okay. It's twofold. Yes, I love that comparison. Right, I really do like that, especially because Holly is just also a floating head, and not a really healthy looking head either. But it's a whole conversation. He looks really he's drinks.
He needs some
water.
dental work, and
he's very jaundiced looking and just not well.
Yeah,
but also unnecessary shade. Just shots fired. Just so Lister can understand it.
What is this radio that keeps piping up? Because there's a separate thing that kept chiming in, where he'd be like, "What's LS?" and the thing will pipe up and be like, "Light speed, obviously." Or something would happen, and he'd be like, "What is that? One of the future echoes?" And she would say, of course it is, bozo. And I was just like, what is your deal? Everybody is so contemptuous in this universe. Shit.
It really is like, well, you know, that's all right, I don't know a lot about British humor. You actually watch, well, more dramas, I think, than humor, right? Because you like the mysteries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I didn't really watch Red Dwarf back in the day, but I had seen like 1 or 2 episodes because I liked Mystery Science Theater, and those things tended to be in like a block of shows.
Okay.
So I watched Mystery Science Theater, I watched The Young Ones, I watched Blackadder, I watched Mr. Bean. Are You Being Served? Fawlty Towers. Like all the, like, you know, classics, right?
Right.
And people often talk about, like, how dry British humor is. But the thing that always struck me was how ruthless it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the jokes were always, like, at the expense of someone who was perceived as being less intelligent than everyone else, right? No matter who was making the joke. Even if the person making the joke was an imbecile, they were making a joke that was calling someone else stupid.
Yep, completely.
And that is just such a thing, you know, for them. And I don't know if I feel like American comedies don't really traffic in that particular thing, you know?
I think they do, but it's often one person that they always target rather than it being kind of whomever they feel like calling an idiot in this scene, they will. With American comedy, they will pick one character who is consistently
and make
mocked
them the doofus.
in that way. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
But oh my, that, like, speaking of those Jeeves books, some of the insults that people like throw around, and it's what's so amazing about it is that the main character, Bertie, is often the target, and he doesn't, it just rolls off him because he's so used to it that it doesn't even upset him. So at one point somebody's like, don't you think she looks like, and they say something very poetic, and he says, I don't really see it. And his friend says, ah, well, you wouldn't. You always were a fat-headed worm with no soul, weren't you? And he responds with, just as you say.
Like, oh my God. They really do. One of my other favorites was Absolutely Fabulous.
Oh,
is,
yeah.
Just so much fun to watch. And it's the same sort of thing. Just like, there is this willingness to just go super, super hard in service of the joke, and like we just don't care who gets smashed in the way, right? Like, you just collateral damage, right? Because the joke is what's important. So it's hard. It's not hard, but it's a very different experience as an American when you watch a show like this and you're not accustomed to it just being like, we're gonna go for your neck, like every fucking time, like completely unprovoked. You know, I'm just going to call you an idiot and an asshole. Because
slobbing for the next 3 hours, followed by some more slobbing.
Right. Oh, but it's so good, though. It's so good. So, at one point, Lister they see this photograph over his bed, and he's got these babies.
Oh, my God, I forgot about that.
He's like, I don't have any babies.
And understandably, Rimmer's like, I really need to ask how that happens when there's no women on this ship. What?
And, do we get an answer to that?
No.
Okay, that's where I was going with that.
We do not.
Because that's a really good fucking question.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I mean, we get confirmation because later in the episode, they have a future echo of old man Lister on the bed with this ridiculously long one white dreadlock that hangs from the top bunk.
I want to grab him by these fucking locks and cut them off so bad. Oh, it's worse than a rat tail. It's like a mutated rat that just has like 2.5 tails. It's not even quite 3. It's like, I can't look at it.
And what does he... Rimmer wants to ask the future Lister a question. And at one point, they do this thing where he's like, in our time, he tells Lister...
I'm trying to find the spot with this conversation.
He wants this answer to this question. Because he's trying to talk to the future Echo, and Lister's like, you can't. Like, that's not how it works. So then Rimmer is like, okay, well, if I tell you right now that in the future I want you to answer my question, and the future Lister is like, lean in real close. Lean in real close. He just like, is it like a raspberry or something he does in his face?
I think so, yeah. Oh my god. This is you, aged 171, Dave. I know you're there because when I was your age, I saw me at my age telling you what I'm about to tell you. And you've got to tell me when you get to be me. Which honestly... This is obviously where Dark got their inspiration.
Listen, I had the same kind of thought when I was watching this. I was like, oh, I see what happened.
I've got to tell you about Bexley. Oh I was always going to call my second son Bexley after Jim Bexley Speed. What were you going to call your first son? Jim after Jim Bexley Speed.
You guys. Oh my god. Rosalie in chat said, I admire how openly you can dislike someone in these shows.
I feel that.
Goals.
I really do.
I do too. I just be out with it.
I would love it if George Foreman named his first son George and his second son Foreman. And then he just did that a few times because he names he has 6 sons that are all named George.
Mm-hmm. Well,
but if they were
exactly, but yeah.
Yeah, if he had 3 Georges and 3 Foremans, that would be funny. That's comedy.
No imagination.
So yeah, it was apparently his son that he saw die, not him.
Mm-hmm. Which is also terrible.
I mean, it's fine. People die. What can you do? I'm not really that fussed about it. There's another one with the same name almost running around. Just replace him. That's why we got 2.
So, after they start to put it together, that one of the sons that Rimmer sees die instead of what he thinks is Lister dying. Mm-hmm. They decide that if they go back and stop the things that they saw happening, which is why he tries to stop Cat from eating the fish and breaking his tooth, mm-hmm. that they can change the future. Mm-hmm. Right?
Mm-hmm. Basically, yeah.
I'm trying to
Here comes the moment where he says, "Rimmer, come closer, come closer."
I just want to watch this real quick.
He just laughs in his face and then disappears. You goit! You're all goits! I'm surrounded by goits! Holly, you're a goit. I'm a what? You heard! I really do like that.
Oh my goodness. So, I'm trying to remember how this episode ends.
Let's see. The future echoes are... Okay, so the faster we go, the further into the future we go, and then as we begin to slow down, the echoes are nearer still. And then we go to... Why does he have this hair?
I'm looking at this hair right now like, I don't remember this. Why does he have this Beatles haircut? I don't understand.
So, this is when he asks, how do you get 2 sons without a woman on this ship? Is this supposed to be like a future echo of what his hair will be eventually?
Maybe.
Or did I miss this?
I don't know. It's just going to be fun to find out.
I don't know if we do. But yeah, this is when Lister comes in carrying 2 babies wrapped in space blankets.
Space foil.
Which
is what we're wrapping kids in at the fucking border, BT dubs.
Oh, let's not. And
this is when they take the Polaroid.
And that's how it ends.
Right.
This is Jim and this is Bexley. And that's the last word of the episode.
It's so insane. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Well, how long is this thing?
An hour and a half.
Oh,
so we are at this point an hour and 10 minutes in.
Oh my God. We haven't even done a second episode.
I know. Balance of power, which is a personal favorite because of multiple things. First of all, the wanting to keep Lister from being able to take an officer's exam because he loves being Lister's superior. Mm-hmm. And also the fact that Lister is taking, like, basically drugs.
Oh, right.
And he's like, well, that's illegal. And where did you get them? And I want a full report right now. And Lister's like, Rimmer's
locker, 7 a.m. this morning.
Right? Like, there's something about that hypocrisy being so real and true that it's not even a joke. It's genuinely just like makes me so angry because that's how it is. That's
exactly how that kind of shit happens. Like Lister wants to have Rimmer, since he's just a hologram, he wants him to be this woman that was on the ship with them that has died. I can't remember her name. Mm-hmm. And Rimmer is not, like, participating in this and won't do it. And he is pulling rank on Lister throughout the episode. So Lister decides, well, if I take... Because they're both very low stationed, right? Mm-hmm. I forget what exactly they were... They say it in this episode what their job was. But whatever it was very low. So Lister decides that if he takes a
Lister was the chicken soup machine repairman. Oh my if God, I don't mistake myself.
Right. God. If he can become a chef, that'll outrank Rimmer.
Right.
Who has been trying to take this test, even from the pilot, like trying to take this test and just like failing like 8 million times repeatedly, right? So that is what Lister's plan is. And Rimmer, once he realizes, A, that this is the plan, and B, it might work, he ultimately gives in to Lister's demand to, like, beat this other woman. Mm-hmm. But as we get there, there's this one part where he wakes up, Rimmer wakes up, and he's in his tidy whities again.
Yes.
Like, and he wakes up, and he's, like, goes right into calisthenics, and he's like, doing jumping jacks and shit, and he turns around and Rimmer is not in the bed, and it's like 2:00 in the afternoon.
Oh, you mean Lister's not in the bed?
Yeah, Lister's not in the bed, and Rimmer turns around and he's like, how dare he now wake me up? He knows I'm a heavy sleeper.
I love that. Do I have to remind him to do everything for me?
Like, that
rings a little too true, kids.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
I really, like, the thing about taking these, like, performance-enhancing drugs, basically, is that when you're somebody like Rimmer, if you take them, it's just because you just really want to do a good job. But if somebody else takes them, it's cheating.
Yeah, right.
It's just a completely different thing, And I just, I know people like this. Well, I'm just willing to go to extremes to make sure that I achieve what I set out for.
Right.
These people are depending on them.
You're there trying to take shortcuts.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Okay. And there's a moment where we see here it is. There's a scene in the past where he's at basically a pub. Mm-hmm. how does this, is this supposed to be in his head, him pretending that these people are here? I
think so. I think he's supposed to be, because this is supposed to be leading us into why he's like feeling so lonely.
Okay.
What does that guy say? I've been the Titan, I've been the Juno.
Oh, by the way, that's Arthur Weasley. I know I pointed this out last time, but I had to mention it again.
Right. I'm glad you did, because I completely forgot. Oh my God, it is. Look at him.
I love how a visor sideways is supposed to be the like ultimate signifier that we're turnt.
For whom, I would ask you.
The other one is in the room. You've seen the room, right? Where they tie like a necktie around their head. And that's also a thing. A necktie around the head is
that
like,
is
oh, we are fucked up now.
That is some white shit.
Kids, come on.
Like, it's 1982 and this is like a fucking Steve Martin movie. Like, can we not?
So I've been to Titan, I have been to Juno. I can name 8 things that go in jars that you know. So it's a game and they have to like do this rhythm and each name a thing. So, all right. He says pickles. The other guy says jam. The other guy says spaghetti. And Lister says brains.
Okay, first of all, this is a terrible game. This is a terrible board game.
I enjoy this game. I like anything that you have to be in rhythm on a table.
Oh my God.
You know me.
I
like noise. I like chanting and singing.
No one else in the bar likes this game. But the people that are playing it are having a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing that like you can only play it in this situation where everything else is so loud that if you are more than 2 feet from this table, you can't hear them.
Right. We should make a note to play this for the wedding.
I love that idea. I'm not gonna lie to you. Make it so. Yeah, so we see, like, and I just realized, because earlier I was like, I'm just picturing somebody alone in a room with a disco ball. I forgot that's exactly what happens to Lister. That he is literally there drinking a cocktail alone in a room with a disco ball. Mm-hmm. That is so sad.
It really is.
This poor kid.
There's this idea of being, like, lost in... I'm going to say lost in space. I'm so sorry, y'all. I didn't mean to say it like that. But, you know, like hurtling through space so far away that you're never going to make it home, right? You're millions of light years away. And we've had a couple of TV shows and movies about this sort of concept over the years. Mm-hmm. It is so deeply unsettling to me.
Agreed.
You know, like, even, like, for a show like this, it's like a very broad comedy. What we're really talking about is just being completely isolated with no hope of ever really getting home again. Mm-hmm. And that gives me, like, the heebie-jeebies. You know, it really, like, if I think about it too hard, it just is so upsetting.
Yeah, agreed.
You know, I don't think I could do it. I would probably tap out immediately. You know? It
made, like, Owen and I were just watching Pirates of the Caribbean yesterday.
I've never seen those.
The later ones are very, very bad, but the first one is quite good. Like, good for what it is, you know?
Yeah.
It's well done. Yeah, I really enjoy it. But the idea to me that there were occasionally, like, that would happen just on the ocean. Mm. You're trying to sail across to another, and you just wind up, something happens, and you are just stuck floating thousands of miles in either direction from any shore. Mm-hmm. And you just know that you're not getting off this, and that's it.
This is it.
And that's just like, oh my God. It just takes a certain kind of person to be willing to take that sort of risk, and I am not that kind.
It taps into, like, this very primal fear of, I want to call it abandonment, but it's almost like the inverse, right? Like, this deep fear that I think we all have of being disconnected from what we know and who we know, and just being, like, left adrift, you know? And, you know, it's today for NASA, something happened. Like 2 astronauts came back today.
Oh,
like,
right, yeah.
It was like the first splashdown in 45 years, which, between you guys and myself, just we're all friends here, I could not believe it's been 45 years since they had a last splashdown, because how the fuck have they been getting home all this time? I wanted to Google it, but I felt too dumb to Google it, so I just didn't. So I'll just never have an answer to that question.
I didn't even think of that, so I'm dumber than you, because I was just kind of like, they've been going to space, so...
Right? Like, how have these motherfuckers been getting home?
They have a really big elevator that they just get on when they're done and come back.
Every news headline was like, first splashdown in 45 years. I was like, word? But yeah, the people, you know, are going out into space. Like, real people, you know. I cannot wrap my head around what it takes to do such a thing, right? Mm-hmm. And that they then manage to, like, come home. There's no guarantee.
No.
So it boggles the mind. But this whole show, the whole premise of this show is actually deeply terrifying.
Yes, agreed.
And they lean into the absurdity of it because it is absurd.
Because that is what the British do.
Mm-hmm.
They will be dealing with the most, like, bleak shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's real, like, you know, think about what the Russians would have done with this sort of storyline. Because if we're dealing with, like, the Russian novel,
listen,
we must have the depression,
right,
and the bleakness and the loss of hope and the personal despair.
There would be 800 pages about how all of this is meaningless.
Exactly.
And life is fucking a joke. And you're the idiot for even being alive in the first place. And if you had the sense that God gave you, you would kill yourself out of principle, because that is a noble thing to do.
Or it would be how, like, the Kafka-esque, like, going in circles with this machinery, like, sending you on things to do that aren't meaningful, or and you just wind up, like, with the same broken piece of equipment at the end of the episode in your hands as you look into the camera begging for death.
By the time you get to the end, you and the machine have the lisp. Like, because you're both, like, there's no difference between you and the machine.
I love that. That's good shit right there.
You know I read my shit.
But yeah, the British are just like, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna have this cat try to eat these robot fish. Like, that is... Honestly, it makes so much sense to me now that I think about it, because that's how I approach things in my life. Is there'll be shit that's genuinely fucked up, but that's what I do. Is I like turn it into this joke, because like, really,
what
how
else
are you supposed to do? Exactly. You could just succumb to the inevitability of. I mean, I was going to say death, but not even as kind.
Right. Just the ridiculousness of our entire situation. Mm-hmm. You know, of just being born and being human and being fragile and being temporary, you know, and like, none of it makes any sense. So why keep trying to pretend like you get it or pretend it makes sense when instead you can just fucking laugh at it all, because it's all ridiculous. Yeah.
And it's a good way to sort of connect with other people. Because we can look at just a situation that's really ridiculous and crack a joke, and other people will be like, oh my God, I know, right?
Right.
And more so than if you're just like, well, I just sort of would like to succumb to the waves and let my body float away. People aren't going to be like, oh, as do I, my sister. Like, that's not how that goes. People are much more willing to be like, I know. Than they are to be sincere and vulnerable about how they're feeling about a thing.
Right.
Maybe I need some lessons in Russian attitudes, because that does lead to a certain vulnerability.
I feel like I need less of those lessons.
This is why we balance each other well. You're the Russian and I'm the Brit. Oh my god, I just love what everybody's wearing in this scene and all of the smoke in this flashback party
Right.
episode.
One guy's got like a tank top on and a tie. Because,
It's no
okay, you know.
That looks like the kind of shit Owen would do.
A tank top and a tie.
Mm-hmm. And he would just be like, when I gave him a look and was like, you're not wearing that, he would just go, what? And just like grin at me.
You're right about the hats too. Like every hat is like slightly askew. You know, it's just like jauntily placed. No one is wearing a hat correctly in this entire scene.
Oh god, and here comes Rimmer with his hair, asking where his revision timetable is. He's a real Hermione.
Oh my god.
Because he wants to get to work on studying for the exam. And this is what gives the idea. Oh, here comes the scene with the cat. Look at him dancing. This pink suit, man.
It's like a salmon colored suit, y'all. Like, it is spectacular.
My hair is nice. My face is nice. My suit is nice. I'm looking really nice. Jump back.
There's also, in this episode, this is the episode where he finds the cigarette stash, right? And so
that's
Rimmer
right.
bribes him with like all the fish he could possibly want to eat, and I guess shows him the replicator, which somehow he doesn't know is a thing, which he should be aware of. So he's eating so much fish this episode. Like at one point, he's got like 7 fucking containers of it.
I love it.
Which,
I love that we get to watch him go, fish. Enjoy your dinner. We are the replicator. We can provide you with what you need.
Right?
Fish.
Our
Enjoy
fish
your
is-
meal.
Our fish of the day is...
Was it trout a la creme? Which sounds good. I mean, granted. Yes.
Which, it's like if you have a cat that has a feeder and they just like hit the button.
Oh
you
my
know?
god. That's exactly what it is. I didn't even think of that. God. That's what Ripley would fucking do.
Same. Yeah, that's exactly what Bibbles would do. She would just keep hitting that fucking button. Oh, and he gets so sick by the end of the episode, he can't eat.
I think I fished myself to death. Look at this moment where Rimmer says to him, "Good evening, you stupid, stinking, festering gimboid of a cat." I gotta look up gimboid. Hold on.
Why?
I want to know. I want to know.
No, not why are you looking up. Why is he so rude?
Slang, derogatory, Britain, an incompetent person.
Gimboid.
Yeah. Oh, Urban Dictionary, top definition, insult that was made relatively popular in England through its use in the TV comedy series Red Dwarf.
These motherfuckers are out there blazing their own trails.
They did. Like, it doesn't seem like they invented the word in this case, but that they popularized it.
Right.
But maybe it is that they... Hold on, I'm checking here. Etymology, coined in the television series Red Dwarf.
Listen, these...
Oh my god. Shit.
If I die and I can coin an insult, like, what else do I need?
We gotta workshop some stuff.
We really do.
But if we come up with something, I will use it in other shows until it becomes a thing that people believe is a real insult, and they start to also use.
Oh my god. Look up Schmeg, which is Lister's go-to.
I just got a bunch about the appliance company. I forgot his name. Smeg.
Never mind.
That feels like maybe.
Never
Smeg
mind.
is an Italian manufacturer of domestic appliances.
I didn't know that was a thing.
I'm gonna look up Smeg insult. Smeg is a mild vulgarism which reaches prominence through its use as a supposedly inoffensive expletive in the British science fiction situation comedy Red Dwarf.
These motherfuckers are like just out here doing it. That's 3. That's just theirs.
My God. Derived from smegma. Oh.
What's that? Is that bad?
Smegma, as I am given to understand, is the cheesy, for lack of a better word, build up inside a foreskin.
Ew! Oh!
Yeah.
No.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to look it up and just make sure that that's right. I really hope that no images appear.
I've never
when
heard
I
of that
Google
before.
this.
That's horrible.
A sebaceous secretion in the folds of the skin, especially under a man's foreskin. Indeed, yes.
That's a pretty accurate slur, then.
Yeah.
How did
Don't
you know
like that.
I never heard that before.
I remember it because there is a Pokemon with a name that is like close enough to it, but it's a magma creature. And so the name comes from the word magma, but it's really close to smegma. And Owen like said that he hates that creature because of its name. And I was like, what do you mean? And he said smegma. And I was like, what is that? And then he told me and I was like, I really don't want to know this anymore.
No, I haven't heard that before. Yikes.
Yeah. Indeed.
Schmeg. I'm going to incorporate Schmeg, though.
What was it? So we've got Goit. And what
Goit.
was the other one that he said?
The one that just happened, Gimboid.
Gimboid.
And Schmeg. Schmeggin.
Ugh. So we are at an hour and 30 minutes now. So
Mine says hour 39.
Well, we started talking before we started recording.
Oh, right.
So we are going to have to wrap this up. I feel like we've touched on the major issues here.
I did not think we would talk this long, but I should have known. This is so good, though.
It's so funny.
And that first episode was really, really good.
Yes. I just love him trying to take this chef exam. And then at one point, Rimmer turns into the woman and tries to pretend that this is the genuine, and Lister says, did it not mean anything to you when we made love behind the such and such? And he's like, as her, you never told me that. I figured you'd remember. And I just really like this whole subplot also.
Yeah, Lister's just like, I know it's you in there. Knowing that it's Rimmer in there. Even after he's begged Rimmer to do this. Once, he finally goes into the woman being the woman, Lister's just like, yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
This is all, I know it's you, and you're terrible, and I hate you.
See, and I thought that maybe there was this, assumption that he had that there was, a version of her that was genuine. Like, the way that Rimmer has an actual... he has the same personality he did when he was alive. Like, he's the same person.
Right,
But as a hologram. So I had thought that he meant turn off so that I can turn on the hologram of her. Because that seems to be Rimmer's concern, is that he is going to do that and then never get turned back on again. Yeah. So I think that what he was doing there was trying to fool Lister into thinking he had done it when really it was just him with a different skin on. Right.
Doesn't Lister tell Rimmer to come back, though? He doesn't even have to turn him, on or off. He just is like, this isn't working for me. Just fucking be Rimmer.
Oh. I thought that was the point. I don't know.
I remember. I am looking at it now when she shows
Oh my
up.
god, I forgot that he's he drops the thing when he turns around.
Oh my god, that's right.
And she has the H on her forehead as well.
Which is such a weird thing.
You might as well pack up your pots and pans and off you go, because she's trying to convince him not to take the exam. It didn't mean anything to you. We made love under the snooker table. Because he says, we've never made love. Go away, Rimmer. I think that this is Rimmer trying to trick him.
Oh, okay.
And so this isn't the genuine article, which is what he was looking for.
Right. I see what you're
I'm
saying.
having a woman's period.
Oh my god. You got it. I forgot about this part. And that's why he's just telling him to switch, because right, okay, you're right.
Right, yeah.
Oh
the difference is that you're in there. Ugh. You can't blame me for trying. So
that's
weird.
what it
I love
is.
when he switches back to himself and he has got one breast.
Yes! He's like, Holly.
This is one, like, I feel like this is a really good example of how to do that kind of joke without it being, like, transphobic or just, like, misogynist. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it could easily have gone in a direction where I'd be like, oh, brother. But just having, like, the one...
Well, here's the thing. Remember in the last episode, he has the one arm that belongs to the other guy? It's not his arm. So
And then he's like, what's with these fucking Dumbo ears? And Holly's like, those are your ears, buddy.
So it's like building on a joke that already exists. So the joke isn't that, oh, he's the man with a boob. It's he doesn't always look how he wants to look because it's up to Holly to make him look how whatever, yeah.
And later he's walking and he's got this like sort of sachet and he has to be like, are you sure these are my hips? It's a pretty good joke. I enjoy it. I like the physical comedy aspect.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, these were fun. These are fun to watch.
All right, yeah, here's the sachet. Here it is. It's good stuff. Watching a dude walk the way that he thinks a woman walks is really an experience.
Oh my god, they never get it right, but it's fine. They try.
All right, yeah, so we got to wrap up, but thank you very much to Anonymous for commissioning this. I really appreciate it. I hope that we did it justice, even though we didn't go beat by beat. It's hard to do that with a comedy.
It is, especially when it's just like off the wall,
Mm-hmm. And thank you guys so much for listening, and maybe eventually we'll see you with another one. Who knows what lays in store. And until then, toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye, guys.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.